It's the A Show, episode 156, and please say E's name. What's going on, everybody? It is the A Show, of course, with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. We are in a post-draft WWE world. Of course, we have a whole bunch of season premieres and a whole bunch of moving around that went on this week, and we're going to talk all about it this week. Meelz, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. I'm here, looking at these iPhone prices, trying to figure out my place in the world. I'm thinking of getting a new one. I don't really need one, but I'm thinking of it. I'll be honest with you. I think my phone, which is an iPhone X, the original iPhone X, it's still working like great. The battery doesn't die immediately. Yeah, it dies faster than it usually does, but it doesn't die immediately. I can still do a lot of stuff on there, like photos I don't care about because I don't take pictures, and like when you share them on the internet, Twitter and Instagram is just going to shit the quality of them anyway. So it doesn't even matter to me about the photos. So I'm legitimately here trying to figure out, do I really want to get the new iPhone or not?
Why not? I definitely need one right now.
You don't need one. You don't need one.
I cracked my screen. My screen's cracked, and I can't. My actual touch screen is actually like not responsive because I cracked my screen. The longer your screen is cracked, the less responsive your haptic and your touch screen is. Yeah. So like it's either pay $350 or just go ahead and just pay the $150 down and just get a new phone. I wouldn't have gotten one this year. I was gonna wait for the 13 actually.
I don't know how you live. I don't know how people live with cracked phones. My soul could not live with a cracked phone and just.
Well, it's only been a month. I was holding out until I was going to literally hold out to get a new phone until then. And I believe I went to my fiance's. I went to go visit like her parents or something. And I was outside and it slipped out of my lap and fell face down. And I was like, it's a wrap. I already knew it was cracked. I never cracked my phone, and I didn't have Apple Care. And I was like, you know what?
Did you have a case on it? Are you a case person?
I had a case on it, but I didn't. I have the body case, but I actually don't. I had a dead pixel on my phone, so there's a line actually on my phone as well.
Oh, yeah.
How bad my screen was getting.
See, so that's the worst thing.
I had a couple dead pixels.
Yeah, no, and that's worse than breaking the actual phone. That's
yeah. It sucks. So I actually do. I'm in need of a new phone right now. Any other time I would have been like, I'm cool, but the dead pixel happened first, the crack happened second, and I was like, all right, so it's time for me to upgrade. So the 12 is something I'm definitely looking at. Not really sure if I want to get a Max this time or a Pro Max or just a Pro. I'm leaning toward just getting a Pro this time.
Listen, go easy on them, okay? Just do the regular Pro. It doesn't. You don't need the Max. The Max, they have all these different things. The Max is legitimately for photographers. It is legitimately for people who do that type of things, and Apple's trying to sell this world of like you can use this phone as photography and you don't need to buy an actual camera or anything like that, which is fine, but I don't think you need the Max. I think just the Pro will be fine. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get the Pro, but I'm not sure. I'm really not.
I kind of regular.
I like my phone. I don't know.
I just feel like if I go back to a smaller screen, I'm gonna feel like. It's not gonna like I
less
like
of a man. What are you saying?
No, not less of a man. Not less of a man. I just feel like I'm going to definitely miss the bigger screen, and that's something that I've always kind of I like bigger phones. Like I like the way Apple does bigger phones. I don't like other big phones like that because they're always too square. I like the rounded kind of ergonomic feel of an iPhone. So I'm definitely probably going to stay within the Pro wheelhouse, but. When you think about it, the actual regular 12 is pretty big on its own too.
Yeah, I mean, something light. You know what I'm saying? Don't go too crazy with it. It's already over $1,000. I mean, the 12. I think the regular 12 isn't even $1,000. I don't know what they're trying to sell me anymore. All it is specs and cameras. I feel so like the past few Apple releases, and I feel like we're definitely infringing on Mark's podcast right now, as we do with many other things on RNC. But I just feel like the cameras aren't the selling point to me. They get to a point where it's so premium that the advances don't even matter anymore to me.
Yeah.
The only thing that really matters is why people get new phones is battery life, because they drop into 12 this Friday. I expect my battery life to be cut in half immediately. Just that's just what they do.
My phone just sitting out drains battery, and especially with this new update, it's like it drains battery like crazy. So I'm definitely like looking up at my phone. It says 70% by 9 a.m. and I'm like, what? I didn't even do anything on this phone. I haven't even looked at it. I don't even get active on my phone until around 9 to 10 a.m. when I start working. So it's like Apple has a way of reeling you in.
This is true.
They really do.
This is true.
They really do. But speaking of reeling people in, we have a new Twitter account.
Yeah. I mean, we should have really started the show with that, shouldn't we? Instead of doing a 5-minute diatribe on the iPhones. But you know what? Whatever. This is the A show.
It's equally important, man. So we have the brand new A show Twitter account. Of course, it's going to have all of the information that you need on all of our shows. Like we're super excited about the channel. And again, we're super excited to actually welcome on Dion to our team to help us out, just create new stuff for this social account. And just shout out to him. He's super excited about it. We're super excited about it. The A Show RNC, at the A Show RNC, please follow us there. It's going to have all types of memes, all types of information. We're going to put all of our wrestling related content there from all of our shows, including the A Show that you're listening to right now, the Rewriters Room, Spot Callers, the War Report, and of course the G Show, which I'm going to give a quick update on later on in the show.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow it at the A Show RNC on Twitter, so make sure you follow it there. As of right now, we're close to 100 followers, so I'm pretty excited at that. It's only been released for about a day, so I think everything's going to be there. I'm still like, it's been a long time since I managed a wrestling Twitter account. I don't know if people know this. Well, actually, I don't think many people know this except people who were involved. But I used to help run the Wrestle Rap account like many, many, many moons ago. And that was fun. I mean, it was a fun time. It was like playing with a bunch of followers is incredible. But just kind of like, getting used to like, okay, what do we need to post here? I'm only used to posting the ridiculousness that comes from my brain on my head on my account. So, being able to contribute to that account and also Dion in charge of it, it's going to be fun. It's going to be new. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you want. Maybe we'll hold some contests or something. I don't know. I don't know. Twitter accounts. Follow the A Show RNC on Twitter. That's all I'll say. And you can still follow everyone else as well. We'll still have our comments and stuff like that. And I'll still be as ridiculous as I am on Mondays and Fridays. But I will definitely be forwarding everyone to that account. Please. Yes.
Of course. Let's get into No Holds Barred for the week. We got a couple of returns. We got a couple of court cases, but pretty heavy week at No Holds Barred.
I mean, just a regular wrestling week, yeah.
Especially in 2020, right? So starting off, we have an update on the Matt Riddle, Candy Cartwright, case, or really Samantha Tavel, the actual name of Candy Cartwright. She is suing Riddle, the WWE, Gabe Sapolsky, and Evolve Wrestling for $10 million each. The lawsuit alleges
when I saw each, I was like, whoa.
The lawsuit alleges that Matt Riddle sexually assaulted Tavel, and I'm sorry, trigger warning for anyone that is listening to this potentially, in April 2017 in the parking lot after an Evolve show. The lawsuit also alleges that Riddle bragged about it with the Evolve owner Gabe Sapolsky, who tacitly approved of this sexual misconduct.
Whoa.
The lawsuit also brings up May 19th, 2018, when Riddle allegedly forced Tavel to have sex with him, with her to have sex with him by choking her, and it also claims this was done in front of other members of the Evolve roster while they were on a bus leaving an event in Illinois.
Woo!
Yeah. Also mentions that Evolve had a misogynistic culture. which was created by those that she's filing the lawsuit against, and also stated that WWE has condoned toxic misogyny for 30 years. Now, the thing about the WWE portion of this lawsuit is that she had bookings on January 31st of this year, and Riddle basically told people backstage or told people in like producers and stuff that not to book Tavel because they had previous issues. It actually came out thanks to him using his own WWE email that Drake Wirtz, our favorite COVID truther, QAnon member, was actually using his WWE email address to confirm these things within his own private emails, which allegedly Matt Riddle put into his remember he's put out a protective order against her about 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. That email actually ended up in there, and that's what helped her give the case against WWE because of that. So Riddle's lawyer is actually the reason why WWE is in on this case right now. Just a mess. Just a mess.
I really don't know what to say about anything anymore. It seems everything is just moving. I'll be honest with you, and I'll be candid about this. I haven't had an actual point to, and as much as this has been going on since the summer, I haven't actually had a chance to like sit down and kind of take in the full gravity of everything that's going on in this case. I think just wow. I mean, I think we're going to have this discussion as well when we talk about later of the show of one of the returns that we'll talk about in terms of like but really at the end of the day, like, yo, what does WWE do about these type of situations? Like, what did they do about these situations where there's superstars who they're continuing to push and continuing to highlight on their weekly shows? I mean, this isn't just Matt Riddle, but extends to Velveteen Dream, extends to Lars Sullivan, extends to a couple more people that are actually on the roster that are continuing, Austin Theory, a bunch of other people that they're continuing to promote on the show, but still have these kind of like legal things or accusations against them or something along the lines, and they kind of just sweep it under the rug of like personal is personal, but you know, the show is the show, and everything professional that happens outside of it is just kind of happens outside of it. It makes you kind of wonder, like, all right, what does anyone gain from this? We're in a current society where everything is under the microscope. Everyone's comments, everyone's affiliations, everyone's political views. Everything can be used against a superstar, and the reason why people in the general public don't like them or particularly want to cancel them. It's kind of a new way to navigate in the WWE and just the wrestling business in general, because for so long they've ignored it. Like just a few years ago, we talked about the Fabulous Moolah and like her like under, you know, her ring of like pimp, you know, activities with like
pimp activity.
yeah, with like women superstars. It was like, yo, if you want to get booked, you got to do this, and then just you know, all of this has been kind of like allowed in professional wrestling for maybe like the past like 50 years, 60 years. So WWE is currently in a standpoint where now they're, you know, we talked about it last week. They're going for a bigger profile. They're doing all these other things, and these are things that can 100% hinder them, especially if they let it grow and become a much bigger situation. Now, I have complete faith that if I think WWE responded and was like, I ain't hear nothing about that, about us being sued, but when we hear about it,
we're ready. They did respond. I don't follow Riddle, so I actually muted his name. I'm just like, it's an echo chamber there. Mm-hmm. But like, we said this back in July, August, that this Riddle situation is super messy. It's only gotten messier. I said it on Twitter. I was like, he is now Randy Orton status of pariah in the locker room and in general public. You know, 10 years ago, the news hit that Randy Orton was shitting in people's bags. He was being openly misogynistic. What was it?
I think it was more than 10 years ago. I think,
but I mean, like 10 years plus. You know, these are, you know, Orton wasn't particularly liked up until now.
Right.
Let's just be clear. Like, everyone held that shit against him for a very long time. But WWE never... They've suspended him.
They've suspended him, but they never particularly did anything about it. And quite honestly, with the amount of suspensions that he's had or things, he should have been fired. I mean, in reality, they created new rules to really not fire him. Like, I think he got one of his strikes taken off or something along those lines for like going to something or doing something of the rather. At least that was what reported. I want to say allegedly. I actually don't remember that well, but I generally feel like he's been suspended and or reprimanded enough times to have been fired, but WWE does not want to fire him. For multitude of reasons. And
that's what I see with the Riddles. I see with the Dreams. I know someone was like, I think it was Cyrus, was like, what are they? They're not even worth it. And I'm just like, unfortunately, it's not up to us to determine what they're worth to these people. Mm-hmm. They work on a completely different type of time than we do. It would be easy for me to say, just cut Riddle loose, have him deal with this court case, and then whatever happens, right? But, like, that's not really what's going to happen here. We just saw this week he got drafted and he was on TV the day that it came out. The day that the allegations came out against him, he debuted on SmackDown. So he's never really left.
But I also feel like, I mean, yes, it's WWE's like, oh, at the same time, we're giving them these worth and this is what they means to us. But at the same time, I feel like as the consumer, as people who purchase stock, as people who watch television, as people who contribute to the success of the product, you should there's definitely a voice to have of like, I feel genuinely uncomfortable watching this person interact with people every week. And I generally Go ahead.
When USA or Universal or Fox says get rid of Riddle, that's when they're going to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad.
When stocks go down directly because of Matt Riddle, that's when they're going to say get rid of Matt Riddle. Well, I think that there are probably 3 other people, and I'm not saying this to be like a homer. I'm just being realistic with it. I think there are 3 other people that would be ahead of him in terms of if these actual companies that distribute these TV shows would ask them to take action against, and that'd probably be Dream, that'd probably be Austin Theory, it'd probably be a bunch of people before they would probably see the Riddle thing.
Right.
And that's just the unfortunate thing about it. Like, and the thing about the Cartwright lawsuit is that, like, she just wants money for damages. She doesn't want anyone to go to jail. Like, WWE could see that as like, okay, we'll take this out the top of your contract, we'll pay it off, we'll settle, and then move on. And then they'll just wipe it under the rug and they'll just have them keep going, because that's what I see is going to happen here.
It's just unfortunate that it's reached to that. I mean, it's not unfortunate to its extent, but the sort of reality of it is a lot more, almost as cruel as kind of like, you know, the actual reality of it is like that WWE necessarily. I mean, I think for months, we've been begging WWE to issue a statement and provide something to make people generally feel comfortable watching The Dream. I think it's even to the point now that the people even working with The Dream are like, yo, is this guy, you know, there's so many things that happen that they just choose not to kind of address. And I don't think you can not address it in the current climate that we're in. I mean, we talk about the Harvey Weinsteins and all these other situations and kind of everyone kind of cutting ties and understanding that you can't do that in 2020. Like you can do that. I mean, at the end of the day, WWE's own private company, they're doing whatever they currently want. But in terms of like just kind of an ethical status and so in the community that we can now, you can't just continue. It looks so bad from their end. And if it blows up, everyone's going to tell them like, yo, you should have did something a long while ago. Like they're treading a very dangerous sort of line with continuing to promote these performers without lending like actual, I guess, you know, proof. People are going to ask them until they face in the blue, and Triple H is already Triple H already sounds fed up of Velveteen Dream questions, but they're going to continue to come if they don't provide any serious proof or serious things that these aren't actually true. And Dream isn't issuing a statement, and I'm sure WWE doesn't want him to issue a statement. And Riddle is issuing statements and then deleting them, but I'm sure WWE doesn't want him to issue a statement. Same with Austin Theory, same with a whole bunch of other guys. And it's kind of the sad reality of it all. It's like, yo, you're really putting a damper on the product and playing a very dangerous game by not revealing. And I bet if they did reveal it, it'd be a lot more. You'd realize how fucked up it is, and they'd probably have to let him go. But Matt Riddle is not worth keeping around if these things are actually true. Like, he's just not. He's great, but there are a lot of great people. They have a whole PC full of amazing people. Like, Matt Riddle's an amazing performer. Matt Riddle's, if looking at it as purely as a talent, he's a great talent. But he's not worth keeping around if these things are actually true or they actually go somewhere. But, you know, that's to be settled.
But if they settle it, like, again,
it's not even, you settle that and it's like, it doesn't even look good either.
Yeah, it's not a, well, I mean, if they settle, I mean, she's asking for damages anyway. So, I mean, essentially, if they settle out of court and don't take it to trial, it's not like, you know, they'd be guilty of having to pay her that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not like they could still, like, or he could take a plea. You know what I mean, or anything like that. They could do any of that stuff. I really do think that of anyone, they see these guys as like as projects. They really do. Yeah, I really think they see these guys as projects. The same way that they see a lot of people.
You see people in the industry, like, for instance, like Russell Simmons, or like, you know, people have made allegations recently about like Joe Budden and all these other things like that, and they're targeted. They're public enemy number one. They either, but still, as industry standard, they're still getting talked about. They're still getting put on podcasts or et cetera, or all these other things.
I would argue that Budden is not a public enemy at all. Budden is one of the most beloved figures in the culture. So, like, there is a reckoning that has to be said about toxic men and abusive men and media. This is just the beginning. And for wrestling, I'm pretty sure this well runs very, very deep, just like it does in music, just like it does in entertainment. And it's going to take a long time for there to be, unfortunately, like, now that it's up there, I won't even say it's going to take a long time. It's going to take some time for, like, something concrete to, like, really break this thing open. I think speaking out was step one. And, you know, this is definitely a good step too, but, you know, people, here's the thing, they're banking on the if there's 50% people that hate him, there's also 50% people on social media that love him, and you could go look into his mentions and see that. Right. You know, there's as many people that think he's innocent, that think that he's apologized, and that video he put up a couple months was enough. Mm-hmm. That's all they care about. And, you know, it sucks, but that's the precedent that's set here.
The last thing I'll say on this is, because we've seen this so much time in media and just public society, WWE has to kind of issue a standard and stick by to it. And that's kind of what it is, and issue a standard, and there's going to be people online who run back and be like, but y'all did this. Vince McMahon said the N-word on national television. Ric Flair harassed Teddy Long for various years and said the N-word to him, and there's going to be people who do that. And you kind of have to find a balance. You kind of have to issue the standard as, like, from here on forward, this is what we're doing, because there's going to be a ton of, just cancel culture is just, they run back into people's memory, you know, old videos, and pull up random things and stuff like that. And it takes a major hit on, like, corporations and stuff like that who have to, like, who believe that, oh, this is the person I'm highlighting, this is the other thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, to me, it's fine. I really don't care if someone gets canceled for racism and or sexual deviancy. Whatever, that's fine with me. But WWE has the reason why they're in a predicament currently where they have so many of these things floating around and people are things is because they haven't actually issued a standard that they want to keep up to. And talk about the Randy Orton thing. They issued a standard and then they went back on it because it's Randy Orton. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, they didn't want Randy Orton going to TNA or something along those lines. And issue a longer standard, man. Tell him he's suspended for an entire year. Like, tell him he's, you know, no longer able to, you know, you're no longer being able to, like, sell merch or anything like that, or blah, 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 or, you know, I don't know if they can actually do that, but there has to be some sort of precedent that's actually made in order to these things, because we're gonna continue talking about these things for the next couple of years. That's really the situation it's going to be. So that's the last I kind of have to say on that.
Yes, a quick update on the G Show. We will be coming at you this week with a final review of the last couple of nights. I actually have to, after the show, I actually have to watch last night's show. But we're going to be coming to you at the top of next week with our overall thoughts and review on the actual G1. Mm-hmm. Today was an A block day. Tonight will be a B block day. We're getting down to the wire. I think A block is definitely the most contentious one, and that's the block with Ospreay, Jay White, Okada, all vying for the top spot in the A block. And the B block, of course, is to me it's down to Evil and Sonata. So we'll figure out who is going to win that. But just make sure you keep it locked to the A Show RNC channel for the latest updates on the G1. Next news item, we have Eva Marie rumored to return to the WWE.
What? All right. So maybe we'll make this quick. She tweeted out something last night of like, make sure you're watching Raw. Like, make sure. And so here's my thing. Ever since the Melina thing, it really depends on the source of like what the hell is actually going on. But I've seen that multiple sources have kind of corroborated on this. So I'm more inclined to believe it. What say you? Do you believe that she's actually returning?
Sure. Again, it's not something that like moves the needle for me. I don't know if it moves the needle for you. I mean, I think no, that, but I think that in the larger scheme of things, it's a name. It's definitely a name that do people miss her?
Is it? I mean, people. Ironic Twitter accounts miss her. I can't say that.
I know, bro. Thank you for saying
I can't
that,
say
because
that.
I see.
I can't say that actual people miss Eva Marie. She didn't really do anything. She didn't really push the needle. She's kind of like remembered, and this is the thing about nostalgia. It's because of time. She's remembered as it's like, oh man, she slayed. Oh my god, her entrance. Oh my god, her red hair. She didn't really do anything. Like she did the least at all times. Like I don't even know, and she's like training to return. I was like, she needs to train to learn how to wrestle, to be honest with you, because she's still not that good. But I would say I'm lying if I didn't want to see Eva Marie randomly show up on SmackDown, because I thought her gimmick as she went out was pretty genius.
If she comes back with the gimmick like, okay, traffic finally cleared up, I'd pop
huge for that. Yes, 100%. But other than that, like the build up to the in-ring thing, I mean, I'm sure she's gonna get there. But I think Eva Marie is like, we're past that time. We're good. Women's wrestling has evolved so much that like we're kind of past the like theatrics of like Whoa. Eva Marie.
Somebody did not like that outside.
Oh no! It's New York, baby. Come on. It's what's going on out here. But yes, Eva Marie potentially return. Who knows if she'll return? We'll see. It was weird that they said she was going to return last night. I was like, during the draft.
Yeah, that'd be stupid. Also, Paige has put out feelers that she might be returning as well. She said that she feels great. Her neck feels wonderful, and she says, "Can you let me in, Coach? Any smoke to this fire?" I think this is just something that she does every so many months.
If the Twitch money starts to line up a little bit because of WWE said restrictions, then I'm sure she's going to want to return to the ring. But she says her neck is feeling fine. We've seen this return before. We've seen this return multiple times. I would not be mad if Paige returns to the ring. I think it's probably the most optimal thing that she does return to the ring. I think that's using her at her highest, just... Other than her being a personality, which is great, I guess she's like a millennial Gen X personality that just lives on Instagram. I would rather her see return to the ring. I think she's great at what she does in the ring, and she still has a lot to actually prove.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel either way. I feel like the women's division is it's in good hands.
She would add to it.
Shows.
She would add to it. I think she would add to it. I think they need another big name, based on how these rosters kind of shook out.
Knowing us, she's gonna get paired with Charlotte, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, we'll see where this is going. It is the 1 year anniversary of AEW Dynamite since it's come to TNT. They're having an anniversary show, I believe, this week on Wednesday. Meelz, you wanted this on the run sheet. The floor is yours.
Wow. Why did you... Okay. All right. We're just passing off the buck. Okay, sure. I wanted it on the run sheet because I thought it was an interesting discussion to actually have. Like, let's take a look. We had so much... there's so much hype, anticipation, things. I think we covered it quite in full. The rise and the get to of the actual show itself, that I thought, let's take an actual look a year later and be like, okay, how do we feel just generally that they've done? Like, how do we feel that how do you feel as the product has grown from last year to this year, or has it grown or anything? I just wanted your thoughts. I didn't mean to, like, you know.
They've done great. I don't know what much more. I mean, defeating the mighty NXT every single week is quite the accomplishment. But I think that they've done well in carving out an audience of people that were underserved and that needed this type of content. I think they shed a light on a lot of upcoming indie talents while giving you a lot of legacy art, acts that you haven't seen in a while or that you want to see in a different type of view. I don't think the show is perfect. I tried to watch it a month ago and I couldn't do it still, but it makes some people happy, and that's all I care about. Like, if you're happy watching Dynamite, that's cool. But I do think that, like, fundamentally the show, to me, doesn't have enough time to get to everything that they have to get to every single week. I think it's still way too Jericho heavy, still way too like Dark Order heavy for me. I question shit like Cody winning the title right back, like, instead of like having it on Brody Lee, who I thought looked really cool with it. But I think, that first 6 months, they had their ups and downs and they slipped a little bit and they stumbled a little bit, but they've been on a constant high since then. As they gain more content and put more content and shows on TNT into their app and into their own sources, like I feel like, they have, essentially carved themselves out as a really high up number 2 in the world, and I think they're going to keep growing. Dynamite was definitely a part of that. We bookmarked them and said, we'll see what happens in 6 months, we'll see what happens in a year, and they're still here, and I think they're going to be here for quite some time. So for them to just catapult themselves into number 2 in less than a year or just about a year, I think that's great. They're doing great. The ratings look good. I'm pretty sure TNT is happy. They're fighting off the everything that NXT and WWE is throwing at them, but there is definitely a next level that they could get to. I don't know if 3 hours is it, though. I don't think making it 3 hours would be it. I think they need like another hour on another day. I think 3 hours is too much for that show. It's already too much for Raw.
I think they need, and I'll say this, and I echo a lot of your thoughts about how they've just kind of done well at battling WWE's third brand. I know that's a backhanded compliment, but it is what it is. But they've done well for themselves in establishing an audience, and I think that audience could grow. But I think with the audience growing, they need to acquire a lot of more top level talent compared to the ones that they have now. And I do think they've managed to establish Moxley as a top tier talent, even though he's kind of like a spin-off of just the WWE one.
He's already been a top tier talent. Like, he was never not a top tier talent.
I know. But they've established him as like, an actual champ, like a champion's champion. Like, when you saw Dean Ambrose with the WWE championship, like, you weren't like, okay, that's the guy carrying the brand. You were just kind of like, oh, that's Dean Ambrose carrying the championship. Like, you didn't get that, and I think they need to be able to kind of acquire a lot more big names, and I think they need to prove themselves to be a lot more lucrative at the end of the day, like a much more lucrative destination than WWE, and not just because it's an alternative, not because they're run by wrestlers who care, but they need to be just kind of, okay, If, for instance, now this will never happen, if Roman Reigns decided, I'm looking at my WWE contract, let's see what AEW is offering. Who is there that could logistically, besides Dean Ambrose, stand across from Roman Reigns and be like, oh yeah, you got the choo-choo truck behind you.
Someone's alarm came on. I don't know what to do about that. There it goes.
Close your door and
I'm about turn off the lights. I don't know.
But no, I don't think you could have realistically someone who could stand across from him. They don't have the breakthrough guy yet. John Moxley, I keep saying Dean Ambrose. John Moxley is a guy. He's similar to like Seth Rollins in an instance where it's like, oh, he's a guy you can champion, but he's not the person who's going to carry the brand. I think they still need that guy. I still think they need their John Cena, or they need their CM Punk, or they need their Daniel Bryan. I think CM Punk would actually be a great addition if he wasn't a prick who didn't fucking want to wrestle. But I think he would turn the needle for them and be like, okay, they're getting top level guys. Like, now we need to rethink of where we're going with this. Let's go over there with that, you know? But they're doing great. They're doing fine. They're hanging in there, and that's all you can say. I just, they need to continue to grow, and they need to continue to have more intriguing storylines in some aspects. But that's all I'll say. Yeah, a year of Dynamite. Listen, they're here.
Yeah. Shout out.
And the women. Yeah, they suck at the women. They're terrible. They're terrible at the women. Their entire
AEW is.
I won't say their entire women's roster, but the majority of their women's roster is like insignificant.
AEW is definitely the wrestling company equivalent of cannot go over the top rope. I will say that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you see the clip that I posted on Twitter?
Yeah, I saw
someone posted a clip of someone kicking Victoria through the ropes. I was like, back in my day.
Oh, no.
This is how women were eliminated from Battle Royals.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying. I'm glad we've come so far.
You hear that? Y'all hear that?
I'm glad we've come so far.
Y'all hear that? Okay. There's a new segment that we are starting this week. And I'll be heading this one up. You know what I'm saying, Meelz? You got this, Meelz. You can sit down for a second. Right before break, I'm going to do something called Sorry If This Offends. And this is going to be something from the table, from the desk of J5. Something that's just irked me, and something that I feel like,
you might need a sound effect for this, man.
I got it. I got it. It's going to go right here. Okay. I'm just going to go right here.
If I can be serious for a minute without being interrupted.
Boom. That's a sound effect right there. And,
wow.
We are going to talk about something that's been bothering me all week about somebody that has returned to the WWE this week, and that is Ember Moon. She returned to NXT last weekend, or 2 weekends ago at NXT 31. Or NXT TakeOver 31, and the reception that I got and when I saw her return was something that I wasn't really comfortable with. I saw a lot of people talking about, and full disclaimer, I've been guilty of this as well. I've been guilty of talking about her bootcut jeans, talking about her character not being anything, saying that she was like an anime character or like a weeb or something like that. I have been guilty of this.
Shout out to the weebs, the lookout. Subscribe.
You should definitely get her on the lookout. But I've been guilty of this, and I have to say that seeing her return, I was filled with joy. I was happy for her because this was somebody that had her dream almost taken away by an injury that wasn't any fault of her own. It was a freak accident, and to see her come back way earlier than we thought she'd come back, and a complete surprise, I was shocked. It was one of the biggest shocks of the show for me. But anything that I saw on social media was her hair, her looks, her jeans again, her character, which now looks to be more defined than ever, which she actually kind of had. The wasteland look is definitely what she's going for here. It's not a vampire anymore. It's definitely there. But it was a lot of things that made me think like, it's all cool and well if you don't like her for something else that she did, but don't deny the fact that Ember Moon is one of the fucking most talented women on that roster. And as soon as she gets into anyone's roster, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, whatever, she automatic talent automatically raises up the quality of your women's division, period. I was happy to see her back. I was really disappointed to see a lot of people, particularly dudes, but I've seen it swing the other way here as well, of people just being completely mean and kind of disrespectful instead of just celebrating her being back. Like, I thought it was really weird. And I think that for us to be wanting the diversity and to be wanting things to be pushed forward, when you see something like this happen and it be treated like a big deal, I mean, she was treated like a huge deal on NXT on Wednesday. Say what you will about her promo. I don't know how you felt about it, Meelz. I felt like the sound, the actual crowd sound, actually might have fucked her up more than the actual promo did because it sounded so stupid. So they should have turned the crowd down for her. But I think that in the end of the day, when she got back in that ring, she looked fucking great. Her finisher still slaps. It's still one of my favorite finishers in the game right now. And she's going to be a big, big addition to NXT. So this episode of Sorry If This Offends is dedicated to Ember Moon. I'm rocking with you. I'm a stan. I can't help but do it. Let's go. You're going to get the NXT title again. Let's do it.
I love it. No, I agree with you 100%. The discourse about her looks more than anything. And kind of taking away from the talent that she brings and what she can offer to NXT, especially being a woman of color in wrestling, especially doing you fight 10 times harder being a woman of color in any sort of industry. So the fact that people are immediately, she's back, and people are like, oh, her hair, oh, these are all things that she can change. You realize that, right? Like, these are all things that can necessarily change in the future. It's not something that we have to live by right now. She could decide to do something else. But what's probably most important is the talent and thing that she brings, and she just kind of wants to be accepted as a top tier talent, and whether that's on NXT, which it is right now, which I think it's the best move for her right now. That's the way it should go. I didn't like the discourse either. I didn't like it at all.
It was whack.
Just like, no.
Cut it out, guys. Cut it out.
It was very whack.
Cut it out. Let's be cool here. You guys want the women to succeed? Stop shitting on them. All right, do better, guys. And so, what's gonna happen after the break? We're gonna do a draft rundown, and we're gonna quickly run through Raw and SmackDown. These were draft-heavy shows, so we're gonna talk about the draft for most of them. Just to, no spoilers here. But so when we return from the A show, we're gonna talk about the draft and the weekly shows. We'll be right back.
Catch Lacey under the post. Natalya will challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. That was incredible. Natalya, wait a minute. Lana? We forgot about Lana. Lana's got a title opportunity. No, you gotta be kidding. Lana!
All right, we are back on the A show. We're going to talk about the WWE Draft 2020. There were 84 picks this year over the 2-day draft between Raw and SmackDown. Meelz, I know a lot of people, and here's my thoughts on it before I run through the actual trades. It was fine. I think neither show got better than the other. I think they're pretty much flat. I think that every year everyone says, oh, this show's better because it has this person, and then they end up 6 months later being really disappointed because they're not doing anything with that person. So I don't want to give a knee-jerk reaction to it, but I thought my initial reaction here, completely deep, seeped in reality. This is the reality era for me. It was fine. I thought it was okay.
I thought it was fine too. I thought a lot of things changed for the better. A lot of fresh coats have been putting on it. I think most notably, you check with one of the earliest picks that was on Friday, Seth Rollins being moved to SmackDown is just something that completely fresh and might even rejuvenate him in an instance. I don't know if he'll be able to cut all those long ass promos anymore because we only got 2 hours, but it's something that can rejuvenate him, and maybe he may even be a bigger star on that show than he was on Raw. Maybe we compact everything that is Seth Rollins into nice 7 minutes, and we're like, wow, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. What I'm going to do really quick here is I'm going to name off the picks, and then we're going to give a draft grade.
Okay.
So
wait, one by one or just overall?
I'm gonna name the picks one by one, from men, women, the factions, and the women's tag teams and stuff like that. So for the men on Raw, starting off with Raw, we have Drew McIntyre, of course. Bobby Lashley stays, of course. R-Truth stays. AJ Styles comes to Raw. The Fiend, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee, Ricochet, Elias, Sheamus, Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, Tucker, Dabba-Kato, Titus O'Neil, Akira Tozawa, Riddick Moss, Arturo Ruas, and Eric. So obviously they have a roster for Raw Underground. That's really what the end of that was there. For the women, Asuka stays as the champion. Charlotte stays because she's pretty much been out for most of the year. Naomi came to Raw. Alexa Bliss comes to Raw. Lacey Evans comes to Raw, along with Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, and Lana. As far as tag teams, the New Day move over without Big E, which we're going to get to in a second. The Hurt Business stays. The Miz and John Morrison come. Retribution stays, and Lucha House Party comes to Raw, but they've actually been broken up as well. Women's tag teams, you have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax stay, but of course, since they're the champions, they can move to any brand. And Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke come in as a tag team. Meelz, what do you think of the Raw draft overall?
All right, so I I don't like Raw. Just from a first glance, from a lot of different things, it's a lot of matchups I've seen before. It's a lot of kind of like very, I don't want to say aging superstars, but they're kind of like, you know, we got AJ Styles, we got Miz, we got Morrison, we got Kofi, we got Jeff Hardy, we got a couple. These are Sheamus. We've got a lot of people that we've seen before for a long time, and then when you're including like the Randy Ortons and a couple more people, it's like damn, we've seen a lot of these guys already. So I know most of the matchups are going to be seen again. And I know that because the show is 3 hours, they're going to last very long. And I might fall into the low of Raw where I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. Which happened actually quite some time ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of Raw, but I know for the people who get on Raw, they're going to get time. Now, The Fiend, Braun Strowman, I really don't want to see. But The Fiend's been doing some cool shit out of it. Yes, I don't know. He's been doing some new shit. So who knows, but
what's your draft grade? Letter grade. Draft letter grade.
I would give him B-.
That's more the way that you said that made me feel like you were going to give it way lower than that.
I live with West Indian parents who only, if you don't get an A, you failed. So that is,
it's a curve. It's a very high curve.
100%.
I feel like Raw is, again, fine. I think that you're absolutely correct. This is the show that has the established names. You have your Drew McIntyres, you have your AJ Styles, you have The Fiend, you have Randy Orton, you have Jeff Hardy. That alone, you have Asuka and you have Charlotte. That alone is, and the New Day. So you have all of their big name acquisitions or the big name stars on Raw here. And I think people are looking at them because they're a little bit older. But then you look at the younger people on the show, like the Ricochets, Keith Lees, the Angel Garzas, the Matt Riddles. All of them are going to be obviously the ones that they're going to try and figure out who they can place in there. I called Raw the land of the misfit toys, and I absolutely believe that's correct. I think any roster where you have a Matt Riddle, a Jeff Hardy, a Randy Orton, all on one roster is definitely cause for concern, or would have been in a couple years ago, or really just now. But I think that they're keeping a couple of these people there to see what else they can get out of them. I think there's a lot of upside to having Ricochet there on his own. I think there's a lot of upside to having Jeff Hardy there working with some of the younger guys, and Randy Orton there working with the younger guys as well. But I don't think that, in the end, it's not a bad thing to have Drew as your champion. I think he's the best champion on the brand right now. Like I think or one of the best champions on the brand. Like he's definitely had a great year. Yeah. And I think having Asuka there, going up against Charlotte, going up against Naomi, having, a banger with Nikki Cross again, we haven't seen that in a while. So I think that, these are all things that are definitely an upside for Raw. I'll give Raw a B. I think it's going to be a fine show. I think, again, I don't want to judge it too early. But they could change a character here, Meelz, and it could change your whole perception of what Raw is. Like, one character could change, and it would be something you want to see.
There's so much happening behind me right now.
They agree. They agree with me.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to awkwardly wait this out. I think it's waiting away. Yeah. No, I see your thoughts, man. I really do. It's just when it comes to Raw kind of has to be a show that I really want to watch. And I think maybe it's because of the red. Maybe it's just because of the general aesthetic of Raw. But and maybe it's the 3 hours. But there's just a lot of Raw. And it just never feels like, oh, well, it's just blown. I mean, this show kind of blew by quickly, but nothing really happened. Like nothing of any, note kind of happened. Elias returned, which I thought was hilarious.
I thought it was cool. I thought that part was cool. And again, attention to detail in the storytelling here, because now you see that's exactly where the story is going to go.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just more so me thinking of my experience watching the show. How many segments am I going to actually fast forward through? How much stuff am I going to actually want to watch? Who am I going to look forward to on this show? And given I didn't even want to, as fire as Drew's been, I didn't even want to watch his segments this week. Randy Orton kicked off the start of Raw, and then they fought at the beginning of Raw, and they fought at the end of Raw. I'm like, all right, we get it. Y'all hate each other. Hell in a Cell in 2 weeks.
But then I think of like the type of violence that that Drew and Sheamus are going to get into pretty soon, and I get really excited.
Yes. But the Sheamus thing wears off really, really quickly because you get excited at the prospect of it.
Yeah.
But then when you sit through 4 weeks of a Sheamus feud where he's kicking the same guy in the face over and over, then you're like,
But it's Sheamus with a duster on, man. He got in the hat.
Nigga.
You know who I think does have the biggest opportunity to actually look like a monster here? That is Keith Lee. I know they've been saving him for something. Again, he got called up in a very
They better be saving him to something. It's looking very weird. I've given this time.
Yeah,
I've given this.
I want to see what they do with him and Braun. Of course, you have like they want to do Lars. It seems like, but you know, I think they kept Lars on SmackDown.
SmackDown.
But it's definitely something weird. But I want to see. I'm intrigued at least to see Keith Lee and Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman's best programs with the matches that don't happen inside the ring. So I think him and Keith definitely have something there, and they need to put Keith over strong because I think that, you know, by Mania we could see at least one Keith Lee title reign in some way, shape, or form. Like, I would love to see him take a title from somebody and build him slow. I think that there was nothing wrong with them the way they built him when he came back and when he returned and started getting a push at NXT. But I think they don't want to overdo it. Like, I don't want them to get too wild with Keith Lee and to a point where he has to be like Braun Strowman not selling things. I still want him to have a human side as well. So, but I do think he has the biggest upside.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I feel like we've thought that about a lot of guys that have come up from NXT. I think we thought that about Ricochet, which actually was realized for a certain amount of time. We thought that about Aleister Black, which was realized for a certain amount of time, but then they kind of fizzled out. I kind of really interested in where the direction of where they're actually going to take Keith Lee, because Keith is a great talent, but if there's no plans for him, which it doesn't seem to be, there are plans with Braun Strowman, but it doesn't look like it's heading in any sort of trajectory or something along those lines. It looks like they're just throwing him against they're using him in his element of like, let's make these amazing moments until something eventually lands. But, you know, we'll see. I agree with you that Keith Lee has the largest upside of probably anyone on Raw thus far.
I would go, and this is going to be controversial, I'd probably go, because I don't think The Fiend's going to sniff a title for a while, and that's fine. I would go, I don't think he is. They saw what happened with that. Look at his last reign. He ended in a week. They're like, we're not.
Let's try it on USA Network. Fox people.
I think Keith Lee, Ricochet, and I'm telling you, there is a reason why they put Riddle on the show with all the vets. I think they're going to be trying to push him too. They really are. They're really going to try and push Riddle on the show. So people get ready to either change your channel or be very pissed off every single week when he shows up. Let's go to SmackDown. Talk about these picks here. Start from top to bottom. Roman Reigns stays as champion. Sami Zayn stays on as Intercontinental Champion. Seth Rollins moves over to SmackDown during Bryan stays. Kevin Owens moves over. Jey Uso, Big E, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, Otis, Murphy, Kalisto, Lars Sullivan, King Corbin, and Shorty G on the men's side. Women's side, Bayley stays on as champion. Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, Carmella, Natalya, Billie Kay, Tamina, and Zelina Vega. As far as men's tag teams, the Street Profits come over from Raw. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura stay together. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode are still... Why do they have them on SmackDown? Did they stay on SmackDown? No,
they were on Raw.
They went on Raw,
They were on Raw for like a hot minute, and now they're back on SmackDown. Yeah,
they're back on SmackDown. Ray and Dominic...
major dog food again, I know that.
And Ray and Dominic Mysterio have made their way over to SmackDown. Ray returns to SmackDown for the first time in quite some time. As far as women's tag teams, you have the Riot Squad here. What do you think about this SmackDown roster? It seems to me they have all the internet favorites and all of the favorites that everybody loves.
I think Fox was like, fix it. Fix it. we need more people on the show.
I think both companies said that. I think Universal said we need stars, and Fox said we need like younger people on this show. We tired of AJ.
Yeah, we need people watching the show. Like, I didn't put you on Fridays at 8 p.m. for no reason. Make sure people watch the show. Yeah, I think it's obviously SmackDown strikes me a little bit better, and I think a lot of it's because of the Seth Rollins pick, which is very fresh. It's the Rey Mysterio pick, which is like he belongs on SmackDown kind of at the end of the day. I feel like his best moments have been on SmackDown, just period. You've got a lot of people like the Street Profits who I think are going to thrive. You got people like, Kevin Owens, who I think if he's able to get on the show, I'll say this. They've been with Kevin Owens, he's kind of like a utility player where you can kind of like fit him in any sort of thing that you want to do. So he'll be, a host. He'll be doing commentary. He'll be doing things, but he'll be doing everything except actually wrestling.
No, I think he is in line to be next up to meet the Tribal Chief. I think they've lined up on SmackDown quite a formidable babyface roster for Roman Reigns with people that he might want to really work with, but also people that are going to have really great matches with him.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. It looks like, in my opinion, they've taken the entire SmackDown roster who have pretty much dove at the feet of Bayley and said, all right, give me some new people. And it's I think pretty much close to the entire Raw Women's roster has just shifted over to SmackDown. There's still some names that are up in there like Mickie James and stuff like that who I think would be a great addition to SmackDown. But they pretty much said, okay, shuffle them. Like the entire SmackDown. I mean, you talk about Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Lacey Evans,
all gone.
All gone. They're all gone, which is fair.
That was our biggest complaint.
All lost.
That was our biggest complaint too, was that there was nothing else for Bayley, and how long are we going to wait for this?
Yeah.
I am really shocked that they kept Sasha here, but not really, because it seems like the feud that everybody wanted, the long, emotional feud.
I would have switched Sasha and Charlotte. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I think Charlotte, as good as she is on Monday Night Raw, I think every couple of years she needs something fresh. And I think SmackDown, you could put, Roman is 1A, Charlotte is 1B on the show and kind of figure that out. You couldn't
even put Charlotte as 1B now with how great Bayley's been this year. I wouldn't even agree with that. She'd be 1C.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, 1B too.
No, 1C, Meelz. She'd be 1C.
All right. I mean,
they had Bayley go.
She hasn't been on the same.
She
hasn't been on the same roster as Charlotte.
They had Bayley go over on Charlotte for a lot of times last year, so I would say that Bayley is firmly 1B on to Roman's 1A for sure. They need to. What they need to do on SmackDown is actually get a babyface champion, and that's something they did by bringing over the Street Profits. But I know it's not going to be Roman for a while. But Bayley does need to drop that because we need a babyface champion on the show. Like, it's very heel heavy, I will say.
I think. I'm interested in see how they fit everyone on SmackDown. They've got a lot of big names now, so obviously people are gonna. And that's my only con about SmackDown is that they've got a big name, so a lot of people won't be featured. They look like they're going, and we'll talk about this, I guess, in a bit with the whole Big E thing. I'll save that, but the whole Rey Mysterio, Dominic Murphy, Seth Rollins feud that got a lot of time on Raw. That doesn't happen on SmackDown. You're going to get a segment or two. I think it'll replace whatever the Mandy Otis sort of thing took up, where it's like, okay, these weekly segments, but like it's leading to something.
Well, I would even shudder.
So it'll be interesting.
I shudder to say that the one big thing that SmackDown that people aren't thinking about on SmackDown is that a lot of their top names will not be wrestling every week. Roman will not be wrestling every week. Seth will not be wrestling every week. Daniel Bryan will not be wrestling every week on this show.
Daniel Bryan doesn't wrestle now.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the... So, like, when you look at the depth chart, you're really looking at Sami Zayn, and you're looking at your Rey Mysterio's not going to work every week either. You're looking at your Dominics at this point. You're looking at your Jey Usos and Khalid. Like, they're mid-card.
But they've got a...
Their mid-card is going to be very crucial to the success of this show.
But the thing is also, they've got a lot of personalities where they don't need to wrestle every week. Kevin Owens doesn't need to wrestle every week. The Street Profits are good enough just on the mic where they don't need to wrestle every week. Rey Mysterio, Dominic Murphy, Rollins, that program doesn't need an in-ring thing every week. You know, Bianca Belair is doing her promos. I think she needs the in-ring time just because we need to establish her as an in-ring talent. But she doesn't need... There's so much, like, actual... It doesn't need to be in the ring to kind of get them over on the show like you had on Monday Night Raw.
I agree.
A lot of these are personalities who stand on their own. So it's going to be great to be able to alternate between a lot of things.
I agree. And I don't say that to say that they have to wrestle every single week, but I mean to say, like, these are going to be personalities that, like, I don't know if Roman's going to be there every week either. You know, it might just be so, like, again, the mid card is going to be very crucial to this show's success. And from what I see with them trying to play, like, Daniel Bryan's automatically upper mid card, Kevin Owens automatically there. Where does Jey Uso go after the singles program is done? Does he go straight to Sami Zayn? Like, that becomes a big thing where the Intercontinental Championship is going to become a big focal point, and they have to make it important. It has not been thus far, and Sami's been working hard to make that happen. And,
I mean, it has been. It had a program. It had a big match. It led up to something.
Thus far, like, this year, they've been working at it. Like I said, they've been working at making it important, especially if Roman's not dropping that title, and I do not foresee him dropping this title until WrestleMania. You know, like, I see him having this for quite some time, and I think that, again, it becomes crucial to see where it ends up at, because with Roman, I can already tell you his 4 programs, what they're going to be. They're probably going to be Kevin Owens, they're probably going to be Rey Mysterio, probably going to be Daniel Bryan. Biggie maybe, but I really do think they're going to swing for the fences with The Rock at WrestleMania, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
That's what I would do. I would honestly do it. If they
can
manage to
do
get The Rock safe. You know, Rock don't play with that COVID no more.
Yeah.
So if they can manage to do it, then by all means, I'm sure that's what we're building up to. We should go over the shows a little bit. Oh, also, before we get out of here.
I would give Raw. I would give SmackDown a B-. By the way, sorry.
I would give SmackDown a B+.
Okay.
Which is still, not acceptable in my household.
Let's go really quickly through the shows. Meelz.
Let's combine them together.
Okay.
Let's just go through whatever happened on the shows.
Cool. Let's start with SmackDown. I really just the biggest thing to me, other than the draft stuff, was the matches that were set for Hell in a Cell. We have the Roman and Jey Uso match is going to be an I Quit match inside of the Hell in a Cell on some 2K type shit. I don't know how this is going to happen. I see this being a completely brutal match. What do you think about the promo leading up to this?
I thought it was great. I mean, it's roughly a similar thing. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was a little bit, the tribal chief had very chief-like mood. You know, it's very regal, very slow, very methodical. I love the setting of it. It was good. It was good.
Then we had Sasha and Bayley did have a match. Didn't go as long as we thought. I think we all guessed that it wasn't going to have a definitive finish. But it went to a DQ, and Sasha invited Bayley to Hell. That Hell being Hell in a Cell. What do you think about this?
Yeah. I love it. I mean, it was funny. There's an internet clip around of the bump guy, the guy on the bump, getting completely owned because he said that Sasha was afraid of Bayley in the Hell in a Cell. It was like, Bayley was like, you realize that she's 0-2 in the Cell, right? Like, you realize she has never won a match in the Cell, and I am undefeated as a current year-long champion. So maybe you want to do your facts right. I think it's going to be great. It's building up to the actual match. Let's get it over with. Let's do it. Yeah.
It's weird that this is the blow-off stip, and I feel like they're going to have more matches after this. So for this to be the blow-off stip first, I think is really funny because I think we're going to get like regular-ass match next, or we're going to get Iron Woman. That's the only way this could end.
Survivor Series, they'll be on the same Survivor Series team. One will cost the other, blah, 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 A, B, C, D, What else happened? On SmackDown, I remember, I think one of the most notable things, beyond the New Day thing, which I think we should talk about, Lars Sullivan returned.
The freak man, the horniest man in wrestling, man. Hey, man. Okay, how you feel about him sending them DMs to that chick? Like, people are like, oh, these disgusting, blah, blah. I'm like, he's done some pretty disgusting shit. He's done some pretty racist shit as well, right? But we tagging this man for being horny?
So it kind of depends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
If he knew she was married,
if a woman feels uncomfortable to the point,
if he knew she was married, he's
if she feels
wild.
uncomfortable to the point, if she feels uncomfortable to the point where she's like, this is not comfortable, this is not cool, I have nothing against her being like, ill. I get what you're saying, but I think, she has a right to feel uncomfortable.
Oh no, absolutely.
And be like, ew, that's nasty.
I'm not talking about her.
That's gross.
I'm talking about people that want to be fired for being horny.
No, you can't. But I would be like, listen, what did we send you to those classes for? You know what I'm saying? Like, and can't you find a nice girl in wrestling or something? I don't know. It's just so weird. Lars Sullivan is returned. General dismay from fans. I'm sure we're gonna have a longer discussion on him, but they look like to be picking up where they left off with the whole Lars Sullivan thing. So who knows? And then I think the biggest thing to come out of SmackDown was New Day split.
Yes. Well,
this is it.
Well, not split. They just aren't on the same show. That's still the New Day. People were really upset about this.
I'm not, but yeah, I'm just not. I don't know what to say. I'm not. This is something. This is going to continue it. I said it. They're going to do New Day breakup plus New Day reunion equals profit. Like, it's not something that you can't see. Big E is going to be much more established on himself. He's going to have to, pull a Kelly Rowland or something along those lines where he has to establish his own personality. He's going to have to pull an Offset where he's just become his own thing in the face of Quavo and Takeoff, who are doing their own thing. So this is the rite of passage for him, and this is going to see if he's truly where everyone wants him to be. And I'm not mad at it. I think though we should do something on Friday. I'm electing we make a new national holiday. Mm-hmm. It will be called New Day Day.
Okay.
New Day Day. Officially, what's Friday's date?
It's the 16th.
The 16th. Okay. I want to give a shout out to Donnie for the idea. Shout out to Donnie Lucci. But New Day will be a day. It's going to be a national day of celebrating the New Day and everything that they've done thus far, and wishing them the best and their futures and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, you don't get the Big E that you guys want without this. You don't want to do the same damn story they did with Kofi. You can't do that again. You don't get the solo Big E run without having him sink or swim on his own. If he is what you say he is, and I do believe that he is, he has to prove it here. So come on, but we're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. I saw people talking about like WWE doesn't care about black people. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm mad you said it like that.
I was just like, they were so upset. I was like, I watched SmackDown like later. I was just like, that's it? I was like, come on, man. It's just, this shit's fake. They probably went to the back. And
it was heartbreaking. It established, to me, that moment established the draft. I talked about it on the Rewriters Room a couple of weeks ago. There are a lot of drafts that absolutely nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Like, people go shuffle from show to show and just things do happen. This one kind of, you always remember it as the New Day kind of like split up. So that's all I'll say about that. Let's let's see what's on Raw first. First of all, speaking of the New Day, how did you feel about the New Day and Street Profits practically exchanging tag team championships right in front of our eyes?
I know white bearded wrestling fans hated it, but I thought it was dope.
I said the spirit of Cowboy Bill Watts is like rolling in his metaphorical grave. I only said that because I looked it up and found out he wasn't actually like passed away yet. But so, you know what? Keep kicking, my friend, I guess, if you're not racist. But yeah, it was weird to see, but that was the result. I don't know why they did it. I still don't understand why they did it, but
whatever.
Yeah, they switched the tag team titles.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. Like, it's fine. I thought it was cool to see them both on screen together. I like them doing their gig together, their little promo together. I thought it was cool.
Right. Yeah. Kevin Owens and Aleister Black had a fire match to open Monday Night Raw. I thought that was fucking incredible.
Kevin Owens, king of the TV match. Can we just call him that right now? He's the king of the TV match.
Yeah.
Him and Aleister had a violent match on Raw on Monday before they both went to the same show. But I guess it's going to continue. It's going to continue on.
Great meteor spot, I'll say.
Yeah. Kevin Owens has never seen a chair, table, or scaffolding that he does not like. He will bump through anything. I like that, Aleister Black is finally like getting his comeuppance in a lot of ways. I know a lot of people are complaining that he's losing, and I'm just like, this guy has won for like a whole calendar year. He's fine to take 2 losses to Kevin Owens to help build KO back up. I'd like to see some direction with Aleister's heel turn, but if he's still going to be slotted with Kevin, I think that they do a really great job together, and I think they work super well together in the 2 matches they've had so far.
I think on SmackDown he's going to be beat up a lot, so I wouldn't expect anything new to kind of change. I think he might even be put with a faction because there's not enough room on SmackDown, and to be able to highlight him, he may have to be with a group of people. He may end up in a tag team. He may end up with a faction. He may end up in a role that he previously didn't think he would be in. But it's just kind of how you rise it. You may end up in a tag team with Cesaro. Who knows? But it's kind of like, let's just take it currently how we get it. There's obviously no direction for him right now. Hasn't seemed to be one for quite some time. Let's hope that he finds one on SmackDown. And then also on Raw, Lana, dual brand Battle Royal winner. She gets a Raw Women's Championship shot next week. How did you feel? I love the finish because I was completely thrown off by it.
PS4 beep. as soon as I saw it. God. PS4 beep, and I'll see you next week, Raw. It's cool. It's cool they're doing something, right? Like, I think with Asuka's last 2 or 3 challengers, they've done something. Like, usually Lana would never sniff this type of match. You know what I'm saying? So as long as they're trying to do things with Asuka before, and this is just really setting the table for Charlotte and or Shayna Baszler to come out and challenge her directly, which Shayna still has a rain check on. But I think, again, Asuka needs to build up her wins, and I think, seeing her get dominant wins and helping put the other women over in the division is a cool thing to me. So I'm not sure I'm like the most excited about the match, but hey, like, give Lana a chance, man. She stayed down. She's been doing everything they've asked her to do, whether it be a terrible story or taking bumps to tables every week. She's done it all, so give her a chance.
2 more things. One, have to applaud Ricochet for the amazing bump that he took. It wasn't even a bump. It was just a sell. Yeah. It was just a moment. Obviously, this is it's been 15 years since we lost Eddie Guerrero, so it was a nice nod in the way that they managed to get the match off, and Ricochet using one of Eddie's tactics to pretty much, win the match and win his kind of freedom from the terror of the Hurt Business.
They could have done this weeks ago. They could have done this
Apollo,
weeks
right?
ago, yes.
They wait till Apollo left. And they were like, all right, let's do this. Let's get this off the ground.
I'm glad.
Apollo wasn't even on the show.
I am glad that Ricochet is away from this. I think this leads more credence to the fact that they're going to start giving him a little bit more. Whether this means he is a de facto 3rd member of the New Day or not, I do not know. But we are going to start to see a lot more from Ricochet, and I'm really excited to see it. I think, again, Ricochet is another person who stayed down, and even after his run with Brock and AJ and all that last year, he's managed to have his own moments to his own self, and I actually think he's getting better on the mic. Like, I don't know if anyone's noticing, but he's a lot more confident on the mic.
Yeah, he is. I'll say this one last thing. It was promoted all over the weekend. Ali will finally speak about the events that happened last week. I don't know if it's going to be on main event this week, but just based on, I guess, the time, I think with all the draft picks and stuff, they didn't properly, I didn't say they went properly, but maybe some things went over, maybe some things went under. The Ali thing was completely cut out of Raw. Retribution, which I thought was a wow, that you have a major kind of hot, I wouldn't say a hot angle, but you build up or culminate to something that people are talking about, and then it's just not featured on the show.
What if he used that as a storyline thing next week and said, "You guys cut us out the show"?
He's gonna have to, because he's got no point.
Yeah.
he's got no chance now. I mean, unless he's shown up on SmackDown this week, there's no reason why. But we'll hear Ali talk about the reason why the whole Retribution thing. It also seems like they cut out Mercedes Martinez, and she's heading back to NXT, according to reports.
Cool.
So, yeah, we'll see that. But that's big ass show that we have here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been the show.
Thank you all for listening to our post draft special on the A Show. Of course, please follow us at the A Show RNC on Twitter. And also follow us at RNC Radio Live on Twitter as well, if you don't already do that as well. But we will have shows from me and Cyrus on the G Show this week. You'll have another episode of the War Report this week as well. But you'll also have an episode of the Rewriters Room. We're keeping it drafty in here. We're keeping it down with the draft with Armand and crew talking about the draft. And Meelz, you're on that as well.
I was there, yeah. I was there as well. We did an awesome job. It is the only show you'll hear me draft Stone Cold Steve Austin to SmackDown and say, like, he has crossover appeal when he ends up on the Parkers or one-on-one.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be that. It's a very entertaining episode. We all had fun recording it, so make sure you guys check it out.
All right. And thank you guys, as always. And I wanted to send out a special shout-out to Mark and Jeff over on the Elite Media channel for a successful season of RSPN. Make sure you check out their latest episode of RSPN, their season wrap-up with Josh Pease. It is a funny episode. They've done so much work this year, and I just want to really just extend our deepest congratulations from me and Meelz here. So proud of you guys. We can't wait to see what else you guys have coming up. But thank you all for listening to the A Show. We'll be back next week. We don't know what's going to happen. Actually, no, we got a prediction show next week. It's going to be Hell in a Cell prediction show.
Yeah. So we're probably going to have to determine what happens. So, yeah, I mean, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So until next week, please wash your hands and wear your damn masks. And, this is going to sound really corny and hokey, but vote, please. Please. You see what's happening out here. And I'm talking about within your own community. I'm not talking about if you even rock with whoever. Please just vote. Please. All right. So see you guys later. Peace.